The next example I love to move into is the electric bill example. And this example really helps students solidify their thoughts about why every input has to have exactly one output. So when I start talking to them about getting a bill in the mail, I tell them, if Nancy gets a bill in the mail from the electric company and it says $25, that would make sense, right? So if Nancy calls the electric company, they're still going to tell her it's $25, right? We should not get two different things. If Nancy's the input, then the output should be $25. That shouldn't change. So we have a nice conversation about those input and output. That makes sense. So, if John gets a bill and it's for $40, is that okay? And they usually agree, yes. Okay, so what if Billy gets a bill and it's $25? Well, Nancy's bill was $25. Can Bill's bill still be $25? And they usually understand that, yes, that's okay. The amount could be the same. I said, so let's say Nancy loses her bill and she calls up the electric company. She says, well, how much is my bill? And they're like, well, $40. But it's $25 was what came in the mail, and it doesn't match. Is that okay? And they instantly, of course, have, a fit over that. I say, well, what if Michael over there, he gets not one bill in the mail, he gets two bills in the mail. So he gets a bill, and the first one is $30, and the second one is $130. Does that make sense? And they're like, well, which one do you pay? I'm like, well, you could pay the $30 one, and then somebody goes, yeah, until they turn your electric bill off. Or you could pay $130, and somebody, inevitably will tell you, yeah, unless they're ripping you off. And they start to really put in that input, output, domain, and range. Now, for my students, I can usually extend this a little bit. Once in a great while, I have a class that really needs some more time to internalize it before I go to this next level. But I tell them, my property, we have our home and we have a barn in the backyard that was originally on a different piece of property. So those electric bills both come to my husband, and they are different amounts, one for the house and one for the barn. So if I use the name as the input and the bill for the output, is that a function? And that really throws them for a minute because it makes sense, but it doesn't work. Aaron Stein cannot get two different bills for the same input. So then we talk about the value. Well, then why do we have account numbers, right? Because some people do have the same names. So really the domain here isn't the name. The domain is the account number. And if you look at my husband's bills for the electricity, the account numbers are different. And they start to really think about, okay, this is how they keep it all organized, that input and output. It really helps them solidify domain and range and what makes it a function and what does not make it a function.